Yo guys, what is good? Welcome back on the Uncle Sharma channel. 6th of June 2024. It's a historic day because Il Don Beppe Marotta is the newly elected Inter president. He is now the 22nd Inter president in history, in Inter's history. And we've been talking about it. Lots of rumors have been flying around about it. And today it was officially announced at the shareholders meeting, as also other members of the board were announced. And it's fantastic news, and it's been received so well throughout social media by Inter fans, and also not received well by fans because they know this is very, very good news for Inter. Fantastic first step, first few decisions by Oaktree coming in as the new owners, leaders of Inter. Setting the example, what we expected pretty much. As we said, remember when we made that emergency live stream on this channel about 2 weeks ago when Zhang's loan was about to expire and everything was pointing to Oaktree taking over. We said it's an emergency stream just because we want to talk about it because there's something big about to happen, but we're not panicking. We are actually looking forward to this. And if Oaktree are smart, which they are, they will keep this full management team on board, which is exactly what's happened. And actually, what I like the most about today's announcement is not just Beppe Marotta being made president, it's the fact that he's not just president, he's president, but also remains CEO of sport, which was his previous role. So he has a double role now. Why I'm so happy about that? Because as I've also mentioned in my previous videos recently, a lot of people have been saying, yeah, make Beppe president, Beppe for president, Beppe for president, which I also agree with, just as because he's pretty much been the president anyway, let's be real, last 3 years, especially with the way kind of Zhang has been in and out of Italy, not really being there. He has been that figurehead. He has been the representation of Inter pretty much as the president anyway. But why I didn't want him to be just the president is because that means that he's not just focused on the footballing side anymore. Then his focus goes, the president has to do a lot of other things. But the fact that he remains CEO of sport and now has also been made president, I like that because the president thing is kind of just, he was playing that role unofficially anyway. So now he's been given that, the trophy, almost the medal for doing the work of a president for the last 3 years anyway. And here I've got the just a quick little explanation or definition of what a president is. In a corporation, typically, football club isn't a typical corporation, but the appointing powers, the most notable officers are president, vice president, etc. But what does the president of a company do? Let's first discuss some requirements of this role. The president of a company is in the highest position within an organization, and in some cases takes on the CEO titles, president/CEO, which is exactly what Beppe is. So, as a president, he would have to create, communicate the organization vision, mission, overall direction, hiring, firing, managing all employees, evaluation of other officers. So, it would take, Beppe would have to do a lot more of other things outside of football related, looking after the finances, awareness of both internal, external duties. But what Beppe is really good at is the footballing side of things, managing. A lot of the times we always when a deal happens, we either say, Beppe masterclass or Auxilio masterclass. In reality, that's a team, Auxilio, Bacin, and I'm sure there's also scouts around the world. That's a whole team of people. And in the end, the guy who makes the final decision is Beppe Marotta. So that's how, things work in real world, corporate world. It's a pyramid. Whether the guy at the bottom is doing the actual work, but the guy at the top is the one that's going to get all the credit for it. But Beppe is really good at that. from what we've seen over the years. He's probably the greatest, one of the, alongside, you know, Galliani and a few others. He's in that Hall of Fame of, you know, top best ever Italian directors. And look at him beaming, very, very nonno boomer posing, not quite sure what to do with himself, but he looks ecstatic and he deserves that, this promotion. His statements as well, I really enjoyed it. I would like to thank Oaktree for the decision to appoint me as the president. I am honored by the trust they have placed in me. Since they have been, the new ownership was announced, they have been very present and open to dialogue, which is fantastic. Proof of how much the new ownership cares about the club's development. Oaktree have guaranteed the continuity of Inter's management. So it's not just, once again, going back to that, not just Marotta. Antonello continues as the CEO of corporate side of things. And then these are all the new people that have come in now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new incoming directors. So Alejandro Cagno, he's part of the Oaktree team. Catherine Ralph, also Oaktree. Renato Meduri, also Oaktree. Carlo Ligori, Oaktree. Delphine Nanan, Oaktree. And this interesting fella, Fausto Zanetton, almost sounds like a made-up name from an Inter fan who, you know, loves Zanetti. He's like Fausto Zanetton. But he is CEO of Tifosi Capital Advisory, which is a debt advisory fund started by the late Gianluca Vialli. So Fausto Zanetton is the co-founder of that company called Tifosi. So they actually, Tifosi advised Oaktree. They were the advisors of this loan that they provided Zhang and Inter. So they've been part of this process since the beginning of the Oaktree's involvement 3 years ago. And now there's still, you know, there's full-time involvement now, which is interesting because they're involved with like takeovers and the recently Lyon takeover. They were involved in this. So the fact that they're still there involved does point to a direction of, you know, Oaktree potentially looking to sell on in the near future, maybe. But, you know, that's just guessing for now. And then in terms of going back to Marotta's statements, Inter has an incident. This is what I enjoyed, you know, in talking about what we want to hear as fans, you know, outside of the usual normal stuff. Inter has the pursuit of victory in the DNA with great merit. And again, we have a very important success to celebrate the second star Scudetto consigned to history, a season that laid the foundation for the future on the field. Winning in football today. And this is, again, you know, there's no big claims made that, you know, Oaktree are going to pump loads of money. Things are going to, as we predicted and said, business as usual, financial sustainability. The transfer mercato, the transfer window this summer, I think will be once again the same, one in, one out in terms of zero net spend. If you spend 20, you're going to have to make 20 somewhere else. And that's what pretty much sounds like in the statement as well. This is not the first time this meeting has heard me say this to you. Sustainability, you know, Italian speakers know all about listening to Beppe interviews, and he talks about sostenibilità, which is sustainability in Italian. And he's also joking about it there. And there was also another part, you know, aside from his pride and happiness, you know, since everyday present here, which is dedication, professionalism, sacrifice of the men and women that are working at Inter, etc., etc. He also, pointed out corporate CEO Antonello. I have been very dedicated to this movement all my life, and football has rewarded me with a path step by step, rising to presidency, to a club as prestigious as Inter. He started off in the Varese locker room at the age of 17. You could have never imagined this. This emotion combined with the experience of nearly 50 years, I offer this to the community, sempre forza Inter. And then they also asked him, you know, in terms of inspirations, who do you look to? And he said, you know, the past presidents before me at Inter. Of course, the most recent one, Steven Zhang. But he said, I see myself in Facchetti, Giacinto Facchetti, the late Giacinto Facchetti, Inter legend. He says, you know, his values and his way, his ethos, that's how he sees himself, which is fantastic. But Facchetti, if you don't know about him, young Inter fans, look into him. One of the greats great Inter legends, not just for his footballing ability, but what he did for Inter afterwards. Pellegrini, Moratti, all the previous presidents before him. He mentioned a lot of them. He knows about the history of Inter as well. And from what I understand, actually, today I was listening to another YouTuber, Fabio Bergomi. He was saying that Beppe is an Interista. Like when he was younger, Beppe was an Interista, which is not confirmed. He's not from Milan, but that would be quite interesting, and that would be like a little cherry on the cake, wouldn't it? There was also a statement released by Alejandro Cagno, who is kind of like the main man from this Oaktree takeover. A lot of rumors were saying that he might have been the president. As you know, Oaktree in recent days have become the owners of Inter, of this prestigious club. We are fully aware of the responsibility that this entails to both Inter and its community. Our goal is to ensure the long-term prosperity of the club by focusing on stable operational and financial management, sustainable growth. Those are the words I expected from a, investment fund, but also the truth. That's just how clubs have to operate these days, guys. Unless you're a state-owned club, that's the reality of things. This is why, on behalf of Oaktree and the entire management team, I thank you for your attendance. Introduce you to the new president of Inter, Beppe Marotta. I want to watch the video of that actually when he gets presented with our focus. That would be fantastic to see that moment. Which it's also funny though, Beppe, he is a politician. I always said he is always a politician. This guy has always got a little white lie in him, and he always, uses those sweet words like a true politician. And a president, a chairman, he's always hinted that I want to be, after Inter, I want to go into politics or be the head of, Italian football and things like that. And this role kind of gives him that. Gives him that probably much earlier than he expected. But the funny thing is, going back to saying he lies, literally on the 29th of May, just a few days ago, this guy was asked about it. Someone asked him at a press conference recently, he's like, "Oh, are you going to be president?" And he said, "No. I was, I've always been a director. I was born as a director. I'll stay as a director. That's the role for me. Continuity is the key." And this is literally 29th of May, and a few days later we are here. So stone cold liar. You can never take what Beppe says to face value. But anyway, fantastic news, guys. Now we got to judge him slightly differently, not just for the sporting side of things. Now I'm going to judge. I need Beppe to step up. Now, even though it's officially he's been doing anyway, but he needs to step up as the president, which is the figurehead of the club. When the club needs to be defended in terms of off the field decisions as well, he's going to have to get more involved in the stadium stuff, which is headed by Antonello. But he also said today that Antonello is the one dealing with that. But he also has to now, deal with the mayor of Milan and these kind of more political things that he needs to do. The B team, talked about that today, that Inter do want to create the B team like Juve have and Atalanta will be doing soon, but it's because of the infrastructure or lack of a stadium or an infrastructure for the B team to play in. But those are the kind of decisions that he needs to start making now. I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna judge him separately now for the role as a president and then his role as CEO of the sporting side. But fantastic news. Can't wait to see what the future holds for Inter under Beppe. Inter world domination coming under Beppe. It's not Marotta League. It's the Marotta world. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts about Beppe, the president. Ciao ragazzi. Always. Forza Inter. Forza Beppe.